Sir, like you said, it is about getting the forecast right. So I just wanted to understand, now that has shifted away from the convention, it's not 25 or 50 or 75, it can be 35 or 50. How do you see the markets reacting to this change?
I think it is a bit of a challenge. Having said that, the market is now talking about taking, if you like, a more subjective view of things. So a small rate cut would be associated with 15 to 25, moderate around 35, and 50 on the outside. So they've worked out their own math. So is it going to be ultra cautious? Is it going to be somewhat cautious but trying to push the economy, or very, very aggressive? So I think they're now thinking about bands rather than point forecasts. And I think what the median number that came out was very much in the cautious but concerned kind of band. It was the upper bound of that band, 40 basis points.
And now Shaktikanta Das, as soon as the GDP figures were out, he said he was a little surprised, and in a negative way, not in a positive way, for obvious reasons. So considering that, what do you think this time his step would be?
Look, clearly, I think Mr. Das and all of us are concerned about growth. There is a problem with growth. Maybe there is some degree of improvement over the last couple of months, and perhaps things will improve further going forward. Mr. Das's concern was related to two things. One, he thought that the 5% growth rate was perhaps a bit of an underestimate, and once you get the revised estimates, you will not see 5 but something above 5. But his other, I think what he also implied was that it is now time to forget about all other issues in terms of macro policy and focus squarely on growth. So I think he will deliver again. Whether he will be cautious but concerned or whether he'll be aggressive is anyone's guess. Given the fact that he's done quite a lot and is waiting for the transmission to filter through, maybe he will be cautious but concerned. And that's why we're saying 35 to 40 basis points would be the cut.
So, just one more thing. What do you understand of the last 3 months? After the elections, the political stability that we achieved, there was an expectation that the budget will be as good. More stimulus will be provided. Sensex was around 40,000 at that time, and since then it has dropped, and a lot of taxes, and then mini budget, and every Friday there have been some moves. So, what do you make of the last 3 months? Are we back to square one?
No, I don't think we are back to square one at all, and I think it's very encouraging that maybe the budget was a bit of a disappointment for people and the markets, but I think ever since that, we've seen the finance ministry take on board various suggestions, various problems that different stakeholders in the economy are facing, and address them squarely. And this culminated in what I think is a very major structural reform which could change our entire competitiveness as a manufacturing base, which is the cut in the corporate tax rate. So I don't think we are back to square one. I think we are moving forward in the right direction. These things take some time to actually manifest in the system, to be visible. You will have to allow that lag, but I think we are certainly not at square one. We've moved forward quite a bit.
The corporate tax, just the last question. The corporate tax is obviously good for the India Inc., but like we know, it is about the demand slowdown. It is consumption slowdown. What do you think all the measures that Sitaraman has taken, how will it be changing?
In the corporate tax situation also, demand, there are various ways in which you can think about it. A lower tax rate enables companies to cut their prices without affecting their bottom lines or keeping their bottom lines healthier than they were in the pre-tax regime. So that price cuts itself can induce demand. Then corporates themselves spend on various things. They are also a source of demand, and that leads to multiplier effects across the economy. And we've sort of estimated some of these multiplier effects. So it's not as if only a personal tax cut would revive demand. A corporate tax cut can also revive demand in various ways. And I think ultimately demand is a lot about sentiment. And if it managed to break, and that's one of those fuzzy areas that economists cannot measure, but that's what makes a lot of difference to things. And I think a decisive and bold move like that would have been a huge change, sort of a game changer in terms of the sentiment in the economy and in the corporate sector.